So, let's talk about something that's become a grim, yearly routine for millions: Delhi's air. We're going to dive deep into this crisis. But here's the thing. We're not going to treat it like some act of God. This is a man-made disaster, which, believe it or not, means there are man-made solutions.
All right, let's just start with a number. 361. That was the air quality index in Delhi on a random day in January. And let me be clear, that's not just kinda bad or unhealthy. No, that's straight up in the hazardous zone. I mean, to put that into perspective for you, the World Health Organization's guideline for what's considered clean air, it's 19 times lower than what people in Delhi are breathing on an average winter day. Just let that sink in.
You know, this quote just hits the nail on the head. It says, this isn't just pollution, it's slow asphyxiation normalized into policy. Wow, think about that. It's basically saying, this is a policy failure, plain and simple. It's what happens when the whole idea of development completely forgets about the most basic thing we need to survive: clean air.
So the big question is, what's really causing all this? And I'll tell you what, the answer might actually surprise you. For years, the story we've been told has pointed the finger at one specific thing, right? Especially when winter rolls around. But you know what? The actual data, well, it tells a much, much different story.
And boom, here it is. This is the data that just flips the whole conversation on its head. Look at that. A whopping 51.5% of the really nasty stuff, that fine PM 2.5 pollution, is coming from vehicles. Yeah, stubble burning is definitely an issue, we're not denying that, but it's a seasonal spike. The real constant year-round poison, it's being pumped into the air right there on the streets of Delhi.
Okay, but here's where it gets even more interesting. The emissions themselves are only half the problem. To really get why Delhi's air gets so bad, we have to look up. We have to understand its geography. It's kind of ironic, really. The very things that made this location a perfect capital city for centuries now act like a giant, invisible cage for all that pollution.
And the scientific name for this cage is temperature inversion. It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Imagine in the winter, you get this layer of warm air that just sits on top of the cooler air at ground level. It acts like a giant lid on a pot. All that pollution from the city gets trapped underneath it. It has nowhere to go. It can't rise. It can't spread out. It's literally stuck.
Here's a great way to think about it. In the summer, the lid is high up, maybe a kilometer in the sky, so the pollution has a lot of room to spread out. But in the winter, that lid slams down to just a couple hundred meters high. So you've got the exact same amount of pollution being squeezed into a much smaller box. And what happens? The concentration goes through the roof, making the air we're all breathing up to 5 times more toxic.
Right. So we've got this natural trap. Now let's take a closer look at what exactly is getting trapped inside it. Because if we don't know the real culprits, we can't find a real solution.
Okay, just look at this chart. It lays it all out. Vehicular emissions, that's the big, constant baseline problem, day in, day out. Stubble burning? Yeah, it causes those scary peaks you see on the news, but it's not the main story. For too long, we've made it the scapegoat, and that's been a huge mistake. It's taken our focus away from where the real, year-round battle is, on the streets of the city itself.
And the scale is just mind-boggling. We're talking about over 13 million vehicles. Now, this didn't just happen by accident. This is the direct result of a certain kind of growth, one that for decades pushed private cars instead of building world-class public transport. And when you add in Delhi's legendary traffic jams, you've got millions of engines just sitting there, idling for hours, basically becoming little poison factories that aren't even going anywhere.
All right, I know this all sounds pretty grim, but here's the good news. This is not a hopeless situation. Far from it. The science is totally clear on what needs to be done. And the solutions, well, they're actually pretty straightforward. So let's walk through what a real, bold blueprint for clean air could look like. It all boils down to a radical transformation in 3 key areas.
So what's the plan? It's a 3-pronged attack. 1, overhaul how we move. 2, transform our industries. And 3, completely reinvent how we build our city.
Let's kick things off with mobility, since it's the #1 culprit. And we're not talking about little incremental changes here. No, this is about a total rethink. We're talking about banning the sale of new combustion engines by 2028, a massive scrap and replace program for old diesel clunkers, making cleaner CNG mandatory for all commercial vehicles. And the big one, expanding the metro to 1,000 kilometers, and yes, making people pay to drive in the most crowded parts of the city.
Okay, next up is industry. The plan here is just as ambitious. It means getting coal out of all the non-power sectors. We're talking thousands of hotels, restaurants, small factories, and doing it fast. It means forcing power plants to install the cleanup tech that's been around for ages, and it means upgrading all those old brick kilns. The key thing here is that none of this is science fiction. This technology all exists. It's just a matter of actually making it happen.
And the third piece of the puzzle are buildings. The idea is simple. Every single new building has to meet the highest possible green standards, which slashes energy and water consumption. But it's also about going back and retrofitting existing buildings. And this is cool, mandating things like green roofs and living walls. This helps fight the urban heat island effect, which, if you remember our earlier discussion, actually makes those winter temperature inversions even more severe. It's all connected.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. A plan this big, it sounds almost impossible, right? But here's the thing. It's not. This isn't some new, untested idea. Other places have done it. And what's more, we can find the motivation right in our own backyard, in ancient philosophies that we seem to have forgotten.
Just take a look at London back in the 50s after the Great Smog literally killed thousands of people. Or think about Beijing before the 2008 Olympics when they had their own airpocalypse. Both cities were in a terrible state, and both pulled themselves back from the brink with serious, aggressive action. What they proved is that the air you breathe isn't your destiny. It's a choice.
But maybe we don't even need to look outside. Maybe the wisdom is right here, in India's own foundational texts. This verse from the Rig Veda says, "The earth is my mother, and I am her son." Now that's not just beautiful poetry. That's a profound statement about our relationship with the planet. It's a worldview that says we're not in charge of nature, we are a part of nature.
And it goes deeper. In that same worldview, the air, Vayu, isn't just a gas we breathe. It's considered a divine life force, the very essence of life. So when you think about it from that perspective, polluting the air isn't just a technical problem about PM 2.5 particles. It's a desecration. It's a sign that our idea of progress has lost its way, completely cut off from its own cultural and philosophical roots. Okay, let's bring this all together now. We know exactly what the problem is, and we have a clear, step-by-step prescription for how to fix it. And it's not some far-off dream. It's a concrete, 5-year plan for a total transformation.
And this isn't just talk. Take a look at this. It breaks the whole thing down. What to do, how long it'll take, how much pollution it'll cut, and what it'll cost. This isn't a wish list. It's a real, measurable, data-backed plan to cut pollution by 40 to 50% in just 5 years. The plan is there. It exists. Now, I can already hear people saying, but the cost. And here's the answer to that. This isn't a cost. It is an investment. And get this. It's an investment that pays for itself 4 to 6 times over just from the money we'd save on healthcare and lost workdays. We have to get out of this mindset that clean air is some luxury that gets in the way of development. It's the exact opposite. It's the absolute foundation for any kind of growth that's built to last.
And so that leaves us with one final and maybe uncomfortable question. The science? It's settled. The technology? It's sitting on the shelf. The economic argument? It's a no-brainer. We even know other cities have done it. So what's the one thing that's missing? Political will. The real question isn't can Delhi solve this air crisis? The question is, will it? Will its leaders, and just as importantly, its citizens, finally make the choice to demand clean air?